in either one of these requires a travel authorization in order to be able to travel. The travel authorization that is required there is, if you're doing routine travel, you can do a blanket travel, which would be consistent of the beginning of the fiscal year to the end of the fiscal year. However, if in between that time you find that you're going to have to go to a conference or something outside of the norm, then you would do a separate travel authorization for that particular travel. And that would be considered what we call non-routine travel or conference travel. Okay. Travel proof for the following through student activity would be like for athletic events, field trips, and student travel. Our accountant is here, Sheila Responding. Everyone who knows Sheila Responding normally send her the information pertaining to the student travel. It goes to our budget process first before it actually goes to the travel department, to the accounting department to handle your travel. So once they approve it, we receive it and we begin the process of the travel. We can provide guidance if needed, in addition to what you've already completed as the travel authorization. We also do not need the parental approvals to be turned into us. That is an internal document that is used within your departments. The travel authorization should be completed in entirety. When I say that, this is what you guys are completing for the travel authorization. You must make sure all the information is completed at the top of the designation, where you're going, the date you're traveling, because this coincides back to what you're asking us for reimbursement for. And if it's outside of those dates, you don't have approval for that travel. So you have to ensure that those dates are accurate, as well as information that you provide on the particular travel. When we get to this portion, this is where you will list out whether or not, check off whether it's a conference, in-state travel, out-of-state travel, weekend travel, whichever is tied to this. If you're asking for a 50% allowance above the GSA lodging rate, that would be something that we would have to get approval through the superintendent. He is considered the agency head. The other sections would be the registration fees, your airport costs, your personal car mileage reimbursement, lodging bills, car rentals, other transportation, which would include taxis, the Ubers, and all of those different things that you guys use now for transportation. If it's any other costs that's associated with, such as parking, since they don't include that on the state farm anymore, you would include that cost in there. Okay. Travelers, this would only be completed if the fee that's associated with a registration fee and consists of everybody as a whole. And that would be the director will be completed that for the actual school. And then this portion right here is for the agency accounting department, which is our budget division. They actually put this information here. It should be signed by your section head. When it says section head on this form, it actually applies to whoever your direct supervisor is. And then department head would be, if it's the LSD program, it would be Dr. Delgado. Any questions on this particular form so far?
I'm sorry. So if I'm doing travel, Susan is going to sign department head signature.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes, it does not require Dr. Martin's signature.
Okay.
Unless you're asking for something out of the norm. Yes.
Suppose you're traveling with a student. Would we add the other coach in there?
If you're traveling with a student, you use the other older form for the students, because the students require you to actually list out the students on the form, as well as the student activity form. And there are other forms that go along with it, because you may need the nursing, the transportation for department, and all of those individuals involved with the student travel.
Okay, so you're supposed to have two forms,
Well,
one for each.
This
coach?
is for employees and coaches. If a coach goes on a trip and they're requesting meals or lodging, then that coach will complete this particular form. The other form will be tied to the student travel.
Because last year, I put the registration fee on here, and then I made another form because we did it the old way. There were two different forms. So now I'm seeing that we have a new form, and then we just do the registration fee there, and then I'll put my name and the other coach's name on there, and then we'll put it with the student travel forms.
Each individual employee would have to have a separate form, because your reimbursement is tied to you. Requesting like reimbursement for meals, or if you're asking us to pay for lodging, it's actually tied to the employee themselves, this particular form.
Okay, so then the other coach would have to fill out this form as
Yes.
well.
Any additional questions? If you're traveling,
There is a question.
What kind of employee do these forms apply to? Any employees, all departments?
yes.
All right, thank you.
Ethics forms are required.
So it's for anyone, she's asking for clarification. I think the introvert could not be seen.
So if you are traveling and it's free, meaning someone else is paying for it, you don't have to pay out of pocket for it, you would have to complete an ethics form. It is required for state purposes so that you're not receiving benefits that you should be receiving that are unethical. Everyone in here probably has to take the ethics training, and it's kind of tied to that particular piece. It goes to the ethics board for the state. They normally send it right back to us and it's approved, but try to complete it as soon as you know if someone is sponsoring a trip for it. And that will be turned into our accountant, Sheila, responding to submit to the ethics board. Any questions on the ethics form? No? This is what the form actually looks like and what would need to be completed. And all of these forms are actually on the internet site. If you're traveling and it pertains to an air travel, you have to go through this travel agency. Each employee who travels and has to take an airplane has to go through this. I can't emphasize it enough. You cannot pay for it out of pocket. The state does not allow that. We actually have a CBA travel card for the district as a whole, and we pay this for each employee who actually travels. So you would create a profile, and then in that particular login and everything, that's where you would do the booking of the travel. If you find, and sometimes some people find that the travel that's in there is ridiculously high, and you see that you can locate one on a travel velocity site that's cheaper, what you can do, if you're comfortable doing it, you can contact their number and let them know you found a cheaper flight. Or if they stating that a flight is not available, but you see it available on the actual airline site, you can contact them and see if it is available and if they can put you on that particular flight that you found that's a better flight. But you would have to call them for it because you would only be able to see what's actually on their particular travel agency site. If you cannot, absolutely, emergency comes up, can't travel, you have to immediately let us know that travel needs to be canceled. And then tickets do not go away. So you have to actually contact the travel agency and let them know that you need a credit for that particular trip. You gotta do it in advance, at least 30 days. So you need a credit for that trip. So when you travel in the future, that credit is gonna be sitting out there for you to travel in the future. It is assigned to that particular person who actually requested that trip through the travel agency. You can't transfer it. So you have to remember that you have that credit when you're traveling the next time. Because they do expire. Any questions? Am I talking too fast? Hotel rates. This isn't iffy for everybody because we're finding that hotel rates are $107. Where can we find a hotel for $107? So the GSA rate is the federal rate for travel rates. This is where you go to get the per diem rates. This is where you go to find out how much you can actually get a hotel for through the hotel for hotel rates, and that is through the GSA travel plan. So when you're doing your travel authorization, you should be using this particular network to actually come up with the costs associated with the hotels and your per diems, which is your meals. Mileage can go up and down. I just want to mention it. It goes up and down because the mileage now with the state is based upon the federal mileage reimbursement. Questions? Hotel planners is the state to go. You go up into the hotel planners website. This is where you locate all hotels that are within the state hotel database. You look for hotels within that parameter of dates that you're looking for, and you have to look at the cost. Now, there are some exceptions to this. If it is a conference hotel, you do not have to go by the GSA rate because conference hotels are exempt from that GSA rate because they have block rates, which give you an opportunity to be near the conference so that you don't have to have transportation to get back and forth. Those usually come with a link. So whenever you see that you're gonna have to stay at a conference hotel, you would then contact my accountants, which is either Annette Williams or Tarina Lewis, and Tarina or Annette, you'll send that link and they'll pay for that particular conference travel for you. Unless you have a travel card. Any questions? When you go to the hotels, technically the hotel planners, we've been finding there have been some hiccups. They're supposed to automatically receive the exemption form, and most case scenario, they're gonna say when you get there, they don't have the exemption form. So we always encourage travelers to bring the exemption form with them to ensure that they don't try to charge you taxes when you get there. I talked about the conference hotels. Is there any questions on that? No one? Rental cars. If you need to rent a car, first scenario, we have some state-owned vehicles here. So first you would check with Cherie and see if a vehicle is available. And once you there's through the work order, what is it called? Edgefor, you can request a vehicle for transportation and she'll let you know when it's available. We encourage you to try to get a rental car if not, and not to use your personal car and put mileage on your cars. So Enterprise, Hertz, and National, all those are within the state regulations, whereas you can use any one of those to rent a car. They do discourage you using the airport because the airport will charge you an additional fee. They would prefer you to use one of the branch ones to go in and get it. However, if it's just absolutely positively not able to get it from one of those branches, then you would actually let us know, I have to get it from the airport because I'm traveling on this particular day and all the branches are closed and the only one that's open is there. Next, okay. Rent a car, your receipts are required for rental cars. We get an automated receipt if we pay for your rental car. However, if you pay for your rental car, you need to ensure that you get that particular receipt. Anyone without a card, we normally pay for your rental car. You should never pay for your rental car. We have an account with Enterprise. Our account with Enterprise they will send it, bill us for it to our particular CBA travel card. I want to make sure this, and I think we ran into some issues with people not saying that this was during COVID though. I think we've been able to get rental cars lately, but if you find that there is not available and it's on a particular weekend, because it's the 4th of July, some holiday that the conference is on, you need to let us know. Because if it's more than one person, it's more than two people that's riding, that you have to indicate 2 people will be riding. That's why you're asking for a bigger vehicle. They require you to get intermediate or the small compact cars. Otherwise, if you're not, you can't request luxury cars. Now, they can give them to you, but you can't request them. If they decide they have no vehicles and they want to give you the best car on the lot, that's fine, as long as they charge you the same fee they would charge you for intermediate or compact car. And you do have some of the branches that do that. Meals, you are not required to turn in receipts for meals. That's not a requirement. It's called a per diem for a reason. So you can get meals for the first day if you're overnight. You have to stay overnight to get meals for the first day. It depends on the time you begin to travel, whether or not it would be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're traveling before 5 a.m. and we have support to say that, then we feel like you should have a full day. That's what the reg said. We continue to honor those particular portions of the reg. If not, then you'll see where in the system for the reimbursement, there's a first day and a last day. So you can use the first and last day and get the maximum amount on your reimbursement. If you want to break it out, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can. If you ate lunch in a particular conference, you don't have to put it on your form. But if you want to get reimbursed for lunch, because even after you left the lunch, you ate another lunch because it wasn't what you wanted to eat. So this is still available to you. And I do notice that some people will not ask for this reimbursement, but it actually isn't, you're entitled to that particular reimbursement because you're on state travel. Yes.
There are, this is Josh speaking. There are 2 questions from the chat if you'd like. Rukia? Whose is that? Did I get it? Rukia? Miss Rukia asks, can we book conferences with travel cards?
Yes.
Yes. This is from Miss Connie Allen. Who is eligible for a travel card?
Travel cards are determined by the department heads who actually need a travel card. If you're traveling on a routine basis and always traveling and consistently, that is your job, then that particular department head can request that you actually be able to get a LaCarte card for travel. Meals, I kind of mentioned this already about the GSA website. And it's a responsibility of the travel to know reimbursement rates for area traveling. What I mean by area traveling, there is different rates for different places. If you go to New Orleans, the rate is higher than it is in Baton Rouge or Alexandria. So you make sure you're choosing the correct location. When you get those red marks across that says like something is wrong on your travel reimbursement, it is possible that you put LA, which means that you'll get the standard rate for Louisiana, or you could have got more because of the New Orleans / LA.
This is Josh speaking. Miss Rhonda Riley would like to know, so outreach teachers are able to request meal reimbursements traveling overnight?
Yes.
And Miss Kristen Willis would like to know, are we limited to 99 miles a day when using our personal car? I saw the state lifted that limit.
The state actually lifted the limit of 99 miles. However, they have rules that's tied to that 99 miles. So in order for you to be approved for anything over 99 miles, you have to have documentation that I have to actually take to the superintendent for approval, because it is the agency head that is the only person that can allow you to get reimbursed for over 99 miles. And it requires documentation associated with it to prove that you can't locate or rent a car. You can't use one of the state vehicles. You absolutely can't travel by airline for whatever reasons, and you want to use your personal car.
So one more. Miss Rukia would like to know, she had problems booking a current conference with her card, and she noticed once before that a hold was placed on that card for a conference. Is that something that needs to be checked out on my card?
Yes, anytime you have anything that rejects or denies on your card, immediately you need to contact the plan administrator for our school. That is either myself or Sheila responding currently. So you'll let either one of us know that something is going on with that particular card. I would say you would send it to both of us, because if Sheila's not out, at least I would know what's going on and can figure out why it's not working.
See.
So no receipts are required for meals. Everybody got that part? You don't have to turn them in. Question that was just asked, mileage reimbursement. Mileage reimbursement, you should have a Google map. It is required because we need the starting location and ending location for where you travel, so we can so the total miles driven would be reflected in those particular from the location to and from. You do get mileage based upon round trip. That's where the 99 miles come in. Round trip is 99 miles. So if you travel one day and come back another day and you're in the same area, you can only get the 99 miles unless you got prior approval. And that prior approval, like I said, requires to make sure you have all the documentation proving why you didn't get a rental car versus driving your car, or why you didn't use the state-owned vehicle versus driving your car. Okay.
No. Miss Rhonda Riley, is there after hours contact for card issues? Because I know a couple of times last year I had to use my personal because I only had emails for after hours.
We do not have anyone here past 5 o'clock in the business office. However, we encourage you to check everything before you travel. And we always say that if anybody calls us, check your travel before you go. Because now we did have instances where we had a transition in employee that left, and some individuals got there and the stuff wasn't paid. We took care of it immediately with the front desk for every single one of them. I stay here personally till 8 o'clock to do it. So if I am here and you call me and I'm still here, I'm gonna make sure everything is straight with your travel before I get off the phone with you. Another question? Okay. Expense reimbursement. Expense reimbursements are done in Leo. This is where you put your time in. Should see a tab if you've traveled before. You'll see a tab that says My Travel. My Travel is where you put in your reimbursements for travel, and it's an automatic process. So once it's in there, everything is accurate. We receive the original back, and we receive the original back if there's receipts that are required, like for parking and parking, taxis require receipts, baggage claims require receipts. Nowadays, if it's Uber, it's normally sent to you by email, so it's not really no difference in the original one, but parking may be an original receipt, or a taxi may be an original receipt that we would need. So all those, if it's an original receipt that's required, then you have to turn in the original travel, you have to turn in the original receipts to the business office. So all receipts are required for expense reimbursements other than meals and mileage. It is required that the following be attached: the agenda for the conference, travel engagement, Google Map reflecting the start and end travel. All travel should complete the LaGov FI Travel Work Center. This actually explains to you how this My Travel works and how to complete it. It actually gives you like instruction by instruction on each tab and what it means and what should be there. If you get stuck, call Sheila or myself, or you can call Lynette or Tarina, and we'll help and assist you through it. For, sorry, go ahead.
And you have an answer. So with all of the required paperwork that we turn in for travel for sports, do you want us to add a Google map in there as well that shows the coach's travel authorization?
Well, for student travel, it's not required because you're using a state vehicle. You're required to complete the documents that are required for the using a state vehicle with the operations department. So you have to complete that document that's in the vans or whatever you're using. But it's not required for this particular piece. This is only to reimburse the employees. Okay. Any other questions? If you have a LaCarte Bank of America travel card, receipts are required for all the transactions. Allocation should be the same as reflected on the approval travel authorization. You will get a number at the top of every form if it's a travel. It's gonna have TRV and these numbers here. If you don't see that number at the top, we have not received it. So that means that my department hasn't received it. It hasn't technically been approved through the whole process. Budget now includes sends an email saying it's transitioned to us. However, if there's some hiccups in between the time that we receive it and they give it to us, they do it and give it to us, you have to wait until you actually see this document number on there. This document number follows your travel authorization. No taxes should be charged. We all know that part, right? We are tax exempt, and we are, in most cases, we have to present it at the time of check-in, not check-out. Because if you present it at check-in and they give you a hassle or tell you they're not gonna take the taxes off, that's when you call us. And while you're at the hotel, we're working with the front desk to try to get all your stuff. All travelers should complete the training for travel and all works training if you have been granted a travel card.
Okay, so we have, I think this is Miss Caitlin Blagette with a small novella. She says, this question is for those of us who use rental cars for our duties every week. I understand we are required to return our vehicles at the end of every week and pick up a new vehicle at the start of the week. If we, scrolling here, if we get back to the enterprise office, which closes Friday at 5 p.m., is that a problem to then return the car the next day? Also, if we need to be somewhere early in the morning on Monday, can we rent the vehicle on the Sunday? Is there any option for us to keep the vehicle more than a week?
We cannot allow you to have a rental car if you're not officially on state business. So that would be a no. You could not get it on a Sunday. You would have to start it off that particular day, which is that Monday, and you have to bring it back on that Friday. Now, if there's an accident on the interstate or something happens while you're traveling back, there's an exception to the rule that you have to let us know as soon as we arrive back in office on Monday, we should receive an email stating that something happened, and that was the reason why you didn't turn it in until that Saturday. However, in the past, we would have been written up because individuals were keeping cars 7 days a week, which means that you kept it until it needed an oil change, you took it back, and then you went back to the same cycle. You never turned it in. You technically had a vehicle, a rental car, from July 1 up until June 30th of each year from enterprise. And that would be like you're consistently, that means you would be working 7 days a week, and no one in here works 7 days a week. Any questions? So that was an audit finding. So we cannot do that anymore. That was before I got here. This is where your My Travel tab will look. My simple agenda, because I got a bunch of stuff, but at the end, you'll see by travel. But you should see that tab when you log in, where you put your time in and everything, where all your payroll is, your benefits. And the only people that would have it is if you have been approved for travel, and you would see that tab show up. If you never travel, you probably would never see it. However, you travel one time, I give you access, duration of your employment here. Any questions?
We do have one comment from Miss Rukia. I send my receipts via email as well as send my originals in the mail. However, last month, my originals were placed in another person's office, which caused a delay in my originals making it to central office. Do we have a current contract with FedEx for these original receipts?
We do have a contract with FedEx, but that is up to the department head over who's ever over your department. They would have to tell you you can utilize that particular feature. However, if it was sitting on the supervisor's desk, normally they have it on their desk because they're questioning something that's on the form. So that would be something you would have to address with them. However, even though you email it to us, you still have to submit the original. However, there is an option to DocuSign. We give the option to DocuSign for our outreach workers because some of them are not stationed here in the Baton Rouge location. Rather than traveling all the way here to turn in a travel reimbursement form, the supervisor and the employee could DocuSign and submit it. If you're just requesting reimbursement for mileage for traveling to deal with a client or for field travel, then that is something that could be done electronically without having to mail it. But that would be the option would have to be given by the department head. I can't give you the okay on that. They would have to. Any other questions?
She just adds, these were my Bank of America receipts.
Okay, for those, she have to turn in a LaCarte receipts to the business office. That's for anybody. They come in the mail and they should come in the mail and be delivered directly to us, or if the department head over that particular department requests that they come to them first, which they should, because they have to sign off on them, then we would get it afterwards. They would walk it over and bring it to us. Any questions on the My Travel tab? After this, if you guys would like a copy of this how to complete a travel expense report in Leo, please let me know. Send me an email. I'll send that to you. However, it should be available also on the intranet site as well. And this is just a continuation of that particular thing. Once you have come back off of a trip, you will complete the travel expense statement. This is what the travel expense statement looks like from the beginning. And it tells you the start dates, end dates. This is all the information that you put in My Travel. This is what you turn into the business office for reimbursement along with your receipts. This is gonna always look like this front page. It's a PDF, you click the button. Some people will submit their travel and not submit the form. So when I see that, you'll see me click on it, save it, send it to you, say, please have your supervisor sign, and you sign it, turn it the original along with any receipts that they're required.
So we've got several staff members joining us from Pinecrest in Pineville, and they ask, good afternoon. To be clear, are we allowed to use FedEx to mail paperwork?
Yes, it would be dependent upon the department head if that's what they choose to do. They may tell them to submit it regular mail, but it's up to the department head. But we do have a FedEx account. We want to make sure that we have some people who actually transfer from LDOE. You absolutely cannot use Louisiana Department of Education's FedEx account. So Make sure I clarify that, because we have had some people are still using their FedEx account from when they previously used to work there, and they are requesting reimbursement from us for that. So that you cannot do, but you can use ours. Okay. For information or anything you need concerning travel or questions you have concerning travel that you don't feel like I've answered, you can actually send me an email with that question. I'll be happy to respond to your email. We also have what we call the Office of State Travel, which is all the guidelines are there. And that is through the Division of Administration for the state of Louisiana. And all of the travel ratings are out there. We also have the internet site, which all the documents for travel are available on the internet site. Any questions for me? Questions, concerns, any additional things you guys want to talk about concerning travel? So if you are not here for the LaCarte side, which means you're not a card holder or an approver, you're free to go. And then we'll start the next part of this plan.
Just the break.
15 minutes. If you need a break, go ahead.
We were supposed to have coaches, but after.
We have in here is cardholders and approvers, correct? Okay. So the LaCarte program is a Louisiana state Visa card. It's issued by the state office for purchases and travel. State rules apply for its usage. It's a privilege to have these type of cards. However, it's your personal card. Even though it may be a state card, it is your personal card and you're responsible for that card as if it's your own. The rules and regulations are in place to ensure the card is used properly and does not violate state regulations. And the responsibility lies with the cardholder, the approver, and us, the plan administrators, and the agency heads to ensure compliance with our LaCarte program. We will talk about the request for LaCarte cards, trainings that are required, agreement forms, sales tax forms, roles and responsibilities, documentation, reconciliation, travel, card misuse, disputes and fraud, product purchases, works and workflow processes, deadlines, and non-approved purchases. So first of all, if your department head decides you need a card, this is the form they're gonna complete. It is going to be a new card they're requesting for card enrollment. They'll complete the entire form and they'll turn it into the business office for approval. This card has to be signed by the department head and the division head, which when they say department head, division head, means your supervisor, whoever is over that particular school. The approval would come from our program administrator. That card is signed off by Sheila. Both she and I look at the activity in that department to see if there are card holders already available to do this particular function, or if this card holder is replacing one that is no longer with SSD. Trainings. Annual trainings are required for having a LaCarte card. It is just a lot of work dealing with a LaCarte card. I agree with y'all. We do way more than what y'all think with these cards. The annual trainings that are required for the card holders, the approvers, and the program administrators. There's a card holder training, there's approvers training, and then there's a program administrators training. By me being such a small agency, I'm doing two roles. We had to get exception to the rule for me to do that. So I have to take the approvers and the program administrators training. And then for your supervisors or your approvers, they have to take the approver one, and you would have to take the card holder one. And some of them have to take both just because they have a card and they're approved. Now, some of these courses from the approval perspective says the same thing in each one, and I think they should combine them together. However, the state still has them separate. Certificates along with the original signed agreement form should be submitted to the program administrator. When you go into success factors, you'll see that as a tab in your Leo. That's where you would complete these particular trainings. And you can PDF your certificate out of there and send it to us. If that's all we need, you can send it as a PDF and we can just attach it to your file. Agreement forms. They're required to be submitted to the business office every year by the second week in August. We came up with this day so everybody can remember what it's due. However, if you did your training, you still would be required. I would say if you want to be on track with us, just go ahead and do it so in July so you can make sure you can remember when to do it. Otherwise, you have to keep a consistent record of when it actually expires to make sure you do it before it expires. So each year you have to do an annual training online, and each year we have to do this training within the department. So the card holder, the approver, and the program administrator are required to complete agreement forms every single year. So if you have not done so, you need to pull your card holder, each one of your card holders to do their form. The approvers do their forms, list out whoever their card holders are, as well as myself. I had to do a program administrator one, as well as the approver. And they are due every year. The agreement form still looks the same. You will complete the agreement form. This is for the card holder. This is the agreement form for the approver. And if you look, it says at the bottom, what's your card? You would list out the names of your card holders that you approve. Then this is the one for the administrator. Whenever you come to pick up your card, the state requires us to have some documentation that you picked it up. So when y'all see us ask for all of this stuff, this is what they're requiring. So then you have to sign and say that you received it and what you agree to the responsibilities that's tied to that particular card. Sales tax, at no time should sales tax be charged to you for your purchases in Louisiana. If you are charged taxes and don't receive a credit, you will be responsible for reimbursement of those charges. We hate to tell you that, but that is the rules. However, we would suggest that you make sure before you leave that they remove those taxes off of there. And in the instances, if it hits your card with the taxes and they agree to take the taxes off the next time, then what they'll do is they'll do a credit on a different day. You just put a comment in there and say tax credit of taxes is showing on this particular line and you're fine. You don't have to reimburse us. Here's the sales tax form. If you need one of these, reach out to me. I'll sign it. I'll send it back to you so you'll have it available. This is where if you're at a hotel, this is the tax exemption form when you're at a hotel. If you're renting a vehicle, if they're requiring it, most of our rental car companies are aware, state agencies, they don't access for this. It's the hotels that don't require us to get them so that they can have them on record. So before you leave, just make sure this is completed. You will sign as the employee. You can even have your supervisor sign. In this particular area, they don't really care who this person is. They're not technically checking behind you when it comes to these lines. They just want to make sure it's somebody that's a government agency representative. So your supervisor will be your supervisor over you as far as when you're traveling.
Mr. Keo would like to know if they redo the receipt and resend, do we need to upload both receipts with the explanation?
Yes. Any other questions?
So before, when we had to turn in the receipts, we also had to have the original copies. Is it still gonna be like that, or is there a way that we can just do it one time? So either we put it in Leo and have submitted it, or can we just have the receipts printed ready, have our supervisor sign it, and return that to you?
You have to do both.
So there's no way that we can like,
You have to
alleviate a little bit?
No, that's the same rule. Each individual transaction must have a receipt attached.
Okay, but if y'all are getting the original copy, this is where I'm just wondering, because we're bringing y'all the original copy, but we're also uploading it into Leo. Is there a way where we just say, hey, here's the copy that you need, and
not for, well, this one here would be the Bank of America statement.
okay,
That would be different.
okay,
You would have to do it that way.
okay,
If you come and bring your travel agent with the travel reimbursement form, you bring us the original, and you didn't upload it. We've been uploading for it.
okay.
Long as we have. Roles and responsibilities. You must receive prior training before receiving the card. Must sign cardholder agreement. You must maintain your logs and receipts. You must ensure the allocation of clothing receipts are uploaded into Works by the 10th of each month, and the original turn into the program administrator. That's me or Sheila. Most is Sheila really, but you turn it in. You must ensure that transactions meet program guidelines and rules. You must review monthly statements, sign and have approver sign as well, confirm the amounts agreed with log and receipts. If for some reason your card is lost or stolen, you must report it immediately to Bank of America and the plan administrator so they can shut it off. And upon leaving employment of the agent, cards must be returned for cancellation. So you have to turn in your card to your supervisor. That's what you call an exit form for the court. You have to make sure all of your transactions have been completed before you leave. There's a lot of responsibility before you leave employment. So if you know you're leaving and you give them a 2-week notice, try not to charge anything within that 2 weeks, because then you would have to wait until all of the stuff hits in the system to upload it into the system. So just to be considered a debt. And then the 10th of the month, you can put it, it's like in stone, we use that date across the board, we keep saying the same thing. The only time we don't use this date, like at the end of the fiscal year, they have certain requirements, and if a holiday comes up and they tell us that we have to turn it in early, we might still give you an earlier date. But it's because this here affects the whole state of Louisiana, and one agency didn't have this completed time. And so we'll get the nasty graphs from state office saying that we haven't submitted our file. We don't normally have that problem. We may have some stragglers a day or two, but not that much. So when she said, we sent an email, are we nagging you and sending you that reminder, please put this in, because we don't want to be that person on their radar to say we didn't do it timely. And we've been always say they just haven't submitted our file. Because when they pay it, just for your information, they pay all of them at one time throughout the whole state. Documentation and reconciliation. Receipts and support must reconcile to charges. Receipts must be uploaded. It should be uploaded to each individual transaction. You can't upload all your receipts at one time. You have to have one that's actually tied to that particular transaction. Receipts must be itemized. It can't be just a summary amount and nobody knows what that particular item that you purchased. They have to be itemized. You must have a reference number up in Works. This is used for us to track and make sure everything is compliant. When they come and audit us, they can come and tell us a lie and we don't have to search for it. We know that 25001, we can find 25001 and tie it back to that particular transaction to prove that this transaction should have been actually done in the system. And then the TRV number, it should also represent the system. Approved request should be uploaded. And no time, when I say upload it, if it's 25 pages, don't try to upload 25 pages. Try to upload just the summary portion of it. Approved request should be uploaded. At no time should any purchases be over $4,999. Anything over that amount will give us a red flag, and they will send us an email telling us we have exceeded the single limit on our card. No one should have this amount. The only person that can make these type of purchases is the business office, and we have to ask for special permission to make a purchase over this. So that's why we encourage you guys to do purchase orders, because they require us to send documentation requesting everything in the same order. No purchases should be split to offset rules related to procurement. And even in the case whereas you have multiple request numbers that tie to one particular vendor, you still got to be careful with that as well, because you can have, it could equal up to $5,000 in one day. If it equals up to 5,000 in one day and it's 500 here, 1,500 here, 33,000 here, then they consider that a split purchase, even though it's not to us, because we have three different request numbers. They still consider it because it's one vendor. So be careful with that as well.
So let's just say I go to Walmart on college if they don't have what I want and they're out of stock, and then I go to a different Walmart. They're gonna consider that split.
They'll only consider it split if it exceeds that $5,000. Okay. So allocation, coding should match approved travel authorization or request for purchase. If you look at the travel authorization, sometimes they're tied to grants or to different coding. You have to make sure when you put it into the system that you actually have the correct coding that's tied to that particular transaction, whether it's a travel authorization or request for purchase. The tax status should be non-taxable for all purchases. We shouldn't be charged any taxes. And the cardholder must sign off and approve, and approver must sign off by the 10th. This is what Bank of America looks like. This is a transaction right here that hit on the system. If you see this here, you see how the reference number is here. That's where your request number or your TRV number would go in that column. Your allocation would be your coding that's tied to it. This tells me if you've uploaded your receipts, it should say yes. As an indicator, you'll see check, 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 green checks. If you see a red mark right here as an approval or a cardholder, something's wrong. So that means you need to go back and check whatever was put in. So then, with that being said, after you complete that, everything should be good with it. You upload your receipts and everything. Your billing cycle purchase law, it must be ran in PDF. When you run it, it's gonna come up and it's gonna give you all of the transactions that you had for the whole entire period. And then it includes all transactions for the billing cycle. Our billing cycle begins on the 6th, it ends on the 5th. So each month, you'll pull the billing cycle for the month. You must sign off on both the card and approval and turn it into the business office along with all of your receipts. Questions? If you have a purchase card only, a purchase card only can only be used for purchases. So you can only use that purchase card for purchases only. That you would know if you only have a purchase card, because that would be deemed by your department head that you can only make purchases. Travel cards can only, if you have a travel card on, then that means you can only use it for travel. That is, you can't use it for airfare, scratch that out. They don't allow you to do that anymore. They have to use the travel agency. Lodging, vehicle rentals, and registration, you should be able to use your travel card on. The only person can you have this charge for airfare is the CBA travel person, which is for the state, for the school. Any questions? No? Try not to misuse your card. Try not to charge anything that shouldn't be charged to your card that shouldn't be there. If you put something on and accidentally swipe the state card instead of your personal card because you pulled it out too fast, just let us know. Everybody make mistakes. So what you would do is you would still have to upload a receipt, upload your reimbursement to the state. A check or money order would have to be attached. And when you attach that in there and you turn it into the business office, that would clear that particular transaction up for you. Okay. No alcohol, can't buy no alcohol. Y'all know that, right? No food, no travel expenses can be charged to your card unless there's an exception, students. You have to feed them.
Whenever you buy food for the kids, for the students, tips, how do we include that in there?
You can only give them a tip up to $5. That's the state rule.
Per person or per bill?
Per person.
Okay.
Like per student?
But that includes a maximum.
Because they will charge you a gratuity fee for kids.
What are you saying?
They would charge a gratuity fee if you're going in for like a buffet with the kids. So that additional cost that's tied to it, because it's gonna be automatically on the account, on the charge, that will be your count, how many kids. But we'll have to pay that anyway as students. We have to feed them.
I was about to ask, if y'all had a restaurant charge for gratuity on it.
Yeah, we have to pay that.
Yeah,
We're actually required to feed the kids whenever they are on travel.
So gratuity, so like if we were still in state with at a restaurant, and they charge for gratuity, that's still okay to be on the bill?
Yes. Yes, that still applies. Any other questions? Never use your card. Avoid procurement and payment procedures. Never use your card for that. If for some reason you're having a hard time with a vendor and they don't want to cooperate, we try to encourage them to become registered with the state, because it only takes 5 minutes for them to do it. And then they're a part of the database and anybody can utilize the information. So don't try to circumvent the system to actually try to make a purchase without going through the procurement process.
So it would be easier to call y'all if something like that happens.
And we'll try to convince them to go ahead and become a vendor, or in some cases, we pay for stuff with our in-person account. You shouldn't be purchasing gift cards or gift certificates. This requires prior approval. They will do it until, I think it's certain reasons they'll do it, but everything when it ties to this particular line item has to go to the state office, and they have to determine if it's allowable or not. Never make a payment directly to the bank. And never be the final review and approval of your own card. You cannot do that. Disputes. Contact the vendor to see if you can resolve a dispute before clicking dispute on the system. Place comments within the works pertaining to the dispute if the charge is to your LaCarte card. Report it immediately to the planning administrator. If with all your efforts, you can't get them to cooperate, you have to complete a dispute form. If you ever have a case where a fraudulent claim happens, immediately, you need to notify the plan administrator, and you need to make sure that card is actually closed. Any questions? No other questions?
I'm sorry, we have another meeting to get to.
Okay, you're good. This will be available online as well. Works and workflow process, the cardholder initiates the purchase. Email notifications are sent from Works each day at the end of the night cycle. You'll see them come to your email. You can start processing your LaCarte transaction then. Cardholder logs on to Works review and enter descriptions, references.
Say that one again, it's looking just a little bit.
Little bit? Okay. Cardholder logs are required, and they must have the description, the reference, allocation codes, your receipts uploaded, and be signed off. Transaction routes to approval, for them to review and confirm your coding, review your receipts. They're gonna flag it if they find an issue with it. That's where the flag comes in, and it goes back to the person, and the person has to make the corrections before they sign off. All of this information is then turned into the business office. Deadlines, we have the 10th of each month. We have the second week of August for all of your annual trainings and your forms to be completed. Every approver has to do an annual review of all of its cardholders to determine the need for that cardholder to have that card for the following year. And this is what the annual review form looks like. If we make a mistake, I talked about that, and you still have to approve that line, but you will notify the program administrator, make a comment in the works, upload your check or money order to reimburse the card back. You turn that check in to the business office. We are required to give you warnings, so we give you 4 warnings. First occurrence, verbal counseling. Second occurrence, written warning. Third occurrence, a write-up. Fourth occurrence, loss of card purchase. Any questions? I'm done without any water. Okay. If you have any questions for me or Sheila, that's our information there. Office of State Travel has all of the part rules. And of course, all of these documents will be on the intranet site.
Is that y'all's direct line?
Yes, that's my direct line. That's our direct line.
I was about to say, because it's both similar, so.
Yeah. Any questions, sir? No questions? All right. You're welcome.